I'm Dan Hunt, and this is Up Close and Personal. Today's guest is, I'm going to blow this now,
Go ahead,
Marcel Forestieri.
Forestieri, you got it.
I got it.
It took you less time than it took me.
There you go. Well, Marcel, so glad to have you here on the show today. And, you know, I've had the chance to sit down and talk with you over the last couple of days. I'm just so impressed. You're an actor, an impersonator, a singer, a political comment. You've got it all going on here. You know, how does somebody become an impersonator? Let's go back and talk about how do you become a professional impersonator?
Well, first of all, it's got to be something you want to do, and a lot of times, not with me, but a lot of times there are people out there that wake up in the morning looking like someone famous, and so they just decide to. Somebody says, "Hey, you should do that for a living." Now, I came from a time where there were no such things as impersonators, so it was a field that I stepped into. It was uncharted territory, as they call it. But you have to be an actor. You got to be a little goofy and silly to want to do something like that.
Now, you started at a very young age.
Yes, I was like 8 weeks old. It's so weird.
So you really got involved in this in high school as a high school student.
Yeah.
Is when you really started. Now you put together a troupe. Tell me about this troupe that you put together in high school.
Well, it wasn't even a troupe. It was just me and my buddy Chip Clifton. We had a comedy team called Canned Comedy, and we did all kinds of crazy stuff, and MC work, and just crazy stuff, canned comedy stuff.
But your impersonating kind of jumped off when you shocked the moms in the audience.
We put on a show at the high school. We used our friends as actually we were a little shy of a couple of acts. So my buddy did Tiny Tim, who was from Laugh-In back in the day, and I decided to do a spoof of Elvis. There were no Elvis impersonators back then, no such thing. The phrase hadn't even been coined yet. So I did.
Let's just set the stage. What year we're talking about?
I was in high school, 12th grade, 70, 71.
70, 71. So Elvis was just coming out of his movie career and getting into the music career and being that chart.
Well, he had just done like a year or two before that the '68 comeback special,
right?
The black leather outfit. So that was the spoof I did, black leather jacket, and I did a spoof of him. But the mothers in the audience pulled their chairs up close, and they were spoofing back by screaming and fainting on the floor. And I thought, hey, wait a minute, if I can get that kind of a response from a spoof, what if I did it seriously? And so that kind of launched the whole Elvis impersonator craze.
And you took it to another level. You didn't just do it once or twice.
No, I did it through 1984, so from 71 to 84, 13 straight years.
13 years. And
loving it.
Every second of it. So what did you do? Did you have an agent? You booked yourself, and you went in and did videos?
I had my keyboard player acted as my manager, so he would book. And again, this is back before computers and cell phones and all this kind of before answering machines. If you can imagine, I don't know how we got by back then. All we had were just telephones on the wall.
That dial.
Yeah,
they didn't even have push buttons on them.
Yeah, speed dialing. You'd tear a fingernail off if you tried. It found me. Once we got out and started doing it, the craze caught on like wildfire, and we were pretty busy in the Delaware and Baltimore area. That was our big stomping grounds, Baltimore, Maryland, Virginia.
Let's talk about you. You said you had to find you. Let's talk about you. As a kid growing up, who was your hero?
Well, probably like most kids, it was my dad. I thought he was a pretty cool, hardworking guy. Mm-hmm. Not a fancy guy. Just worked really hard. Sometimes 3 jobs to make ends meet. We never went without, and so I really looked up to him. And but there were certain people as I got a little bit older. There were characters in TV and movies that I liked. I thought William Shatner was cool in Star Trek.
Right.
Okay. I liked James West from the Wild Wild West. I thought he was cool. Elvis, of course. I loved Elvis. Everybody would. So And Robert Wagner from Robert Wagner. Hello. It's a pleasure to meet you. So I wanted to be like these cool guys, and I was pretty uncool. Still kind of uncool, but I put on a good front.
As your career advanced through time, you branched off from Elvis. You stopped doing Elvis. He had already passed away, and I guess you had a pretty good run after he passed away as well, right?
Yeah.
And you went into something else. What was your next venture after Elvis?
After Elvis, excuse me, I actually quit show business for a while.
You quit? Wait. You
I
spent 13 years as Elvis in a successful career, and then you just hung it up?
I hung up the jumpsuit, and I was lost, because in that, coming out of high school at 17, I graduated at 17, and I went right into doing the Elvis thing. I didn't get a chance to find out who I was.
Right.
And so, the tree was starting to grow a little crooked. It's tough when you got a bunch of gals throwing themselves at you. And I couldn't get a date in high school, so I was like a kid in a candy shop all of a sudden. So anyway, I always say, I don't judge anybody, because I was in a band on the road in the 70s. You name it, I did it. If I didn't do it, I was probably in the same room when it was happening. So I backed away, and I wanted to find who I was. I did a lot of soul searching, and started my spiritual path after that, while I was painting houses.
Wait, you were painting houses?
That's what I did. I painted houses. I worked by myself, for myself, painted houses, did some wallpapering, and I did that for
Were you happy doing it?
It was calm, until my wife at the time one day shook me. She said, "What are you doing? Anybody can paint houses. You've got talent. You need to go out there." And she was the one, Louise Ruggiero, she was the one that really pushed me to get back in, and thank God bless her. I mean, she relit the pilot light under my butt.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
So you started acting. You became an actor. And you were on the East Coast in the Philadelphia region, and
That's right.
I actually think that our paths crossed
I'd be
back
surprised
then.
if we didn't do a project and just didn't know each other.
Exactly. And at the time, I think I was working for Mike Lemon Casting.
Oh, that was
which
my
was
stomping grounds.
The stomping grounds with Mike, and what a wonderful, wonderful casting director he was, and Diane Heary is his right hand, who is now turned into one of the biggest casting directors around.
Wow.
But you did that, and you got a manager. Tell me about that special conversation you had with that manager.
Well, she said, "What would you like to do if you could just push a magic button?" And it was the summer that Dana Carvey and Phil Hartman had left Saturday Night Live, and I said, "Oh no, I'd like to take Phil Hartman's spot." Like, I may have been a little fool of myself back then. So she said, "All right, let me see what I can do." A couple days later, she calls me up and she says, "How quick can you get an audition tape together?" And I said, "Oh, I'll do my best." And I got it together in less than a week, and because they had asked for an audition tape. Made the audition tape, and I did a lot of crazy different characters on there. And one of the characters I put together, because those two guys, Dana Carvey and Phil Hartman, used to do a Johnny Carson, Ed McMahon reoccurring sketch. So now at the time, Jay Leno was the host of The Tonight Show for about 2 years, and I thought, well, if I could do a Jay Leno impersonation, that might be good for a reoccurring sketch. So I put together this quick thing of me doing Jay Leno. Well, nothing happened with Saturday Night Live, but somebody who was putting together a show called Legends of Comedy, Bill Kirkenbauer, he puts me in his show with other lookalike comedians, and while we were in Atlantic City at the Trump Castle, Jay Leno found out about it.
Mm-hmm.
One thing led to another. I mean, my buddy, he goes, "When you get done eating breakfast, come up to my room." He said, "I want you to listen to a message that came in on my phone after I took it off the hook last night." I said, "All right." So I picked it up and beep. "Oh, hey, Bill, how you doing? This is Jay Leno from The Tonight Show, and hey, here you got a guy doing me your show, and it's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I was wondering, if he's any good, we might be able to use him on our show." Well, I think it was the first time I soiled myself in front of other people. I just because that was back when Tonight Show was like still.
It was king.
It was still king, man. And so in a matter of just a matter of days, I was on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and that put a feather in my cap, and that opened up the door to corporate work, and I impersonated Jay for over 20 years, almost 21 years.
So I got to make you tell the story. And anybody that's in the industry of being in front of the camera has a story like this. You're backstage. You're behind the famous curtain. The curtain. The curtain that every major actor in life has stood right in that spot. And I've been there, I've been on that stage, I've been right there. There's this great big old, nowadays we have all these flat screens, but in those days they were big, big television monitors there.
Yeah, it was just like an old console.
Yes.
I've been on stage since I came out of the shoot. And I'm a hot dog. I love being on stage. I'm in front of 16,000 people. I love it. No problem. But that day we rehearsed in the afternoon on stage, which when you're on stage, it doesn't look like the Tonight Show.
No.
It just looks like another stage.
It's a very small stage, too, right?
It's a lot smaller than you would imagine.
Exactly.
And not as big. The audience seats aren't as big, and it's not as bright. The lights aren't as bright because it's television cameras. So now it's 5-something in the afternoon. Now we're taping live. We already rehearsed it in the afternoon. So I was around the wing getting ready where all those stars you say come out. And Jay is setting up the bit. And there was an old wooden console TV, like from the 70s,
right,
sitting there. And I look down and I see Jay on the Tonight Show, and I went, "That's the Tonight Show. This is the Tonight Show." It didn't hit me earlier.
It's right.
But now that I'm watching it, that's what I would watch every night. I went, millions and millions of people are going to see me when I go out here. What if I flub a line? What if I trip? What if I get... And for the first time in my life, I felt the blood start to leave my head. And I almost dropped like a rock. And I started getting so scared and nervous. And I literally had to slap myself in the face and say, "Knock it off. You're a professional. You know what to do." And just... I no sooner did this and said, "You're a professional." Dun, 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 and then my cue came on to walk out. And I walked out, but I missed it by that much of passing out before my big Tonight Show break.
All righty, we're back. We have a great show tomorrow night. Academy Award nominee Cuba Gooding Jr. And on Thursday night, Tim Allen and Charles Barkley. And on Friday, Howard Stern. Hey! Stay in the closet. Sorry, I was just... Stay in the closet. You know the deal.
That is really an incredible story. And you know what? We're gonna put a link, if it's okay with you, to that clip when he was on the Tonight Show. It'll be in the YouTube feed. So if you want to see Marcel on the Tonight Show, just do a little bit for me. Just do a little bit.
Oh, hey, doctors in China have confirmed the existence of a man who was born with 3 eyes. No, sure, they said this guy was born with 3 eyes. Matter of fact, LensCrafters called today and said they can make glasses for him in about an hour and a half. But folks.
So let's talk about the mechanics of being an impersonator. It's not just about the voice. Because a lot of people can do the voice, but, when we were talking earlier at lunch this afternoon, my wife said, "Will you even look like him?" And then you did somebody else and will you even look like them? Let's talk about those mechanics for a second.
Yeah. The difference between an impressionist, like Rich Little, somebody like that, and an impersonator is the impressionist only does it for a few seconds.
Right.
They can't really sustain it for 15, 20 minutes or an hour. With an impersonator, there's so many pieces that you put together. One, of course, is the voice. Then, of course, is the look, because you want to look like the person. And then there's the mannerisms, and then there's the inner stuff. That the taking on the person's persona inside. Otherwise, it's only going to last for a few minutes. But if you can get that inner thing going on, they'll buy it and stay with you for the whole ride, even if it's an hour long.
And I'm just going to put him on the spot for a second, and I'm going to ask you to do two things here for the audience.
Okay.
Because you did it so well at lunch this afternoon.
Yeah, but I've eaten since then.
So let's start out with doing just a quick bit of Johnny Carson.
Okay, this is two of my favorite Johnny Carson jokes. He says, some sad news in Australia. The inventor of the boomerang grenade died today. Yeah. It's hey, life is not fair. If life was fair, Elvis would still be alive and all the impersonators would be dead.
So, as you see, he takes on the persona. He stops being Marcel for a second, and he takes on the persona and the feel and the look. Now, we're going to do a cut, and we're going to come back in, and let's do Jay Leno.
Oh, hey guys, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for coming to the show. We've got an amazing show for you tonight. So stick around, and we'll tell you who's going to be here in just a few minutes. Okay.
So again, it's not just the voice. It's your shoulders come up. And, you talked about Jay never turns his neck.
Yeah, he never turns his neck. It's always...
Exactly.
Oh, hey, yeah, I'll be there in a minute. Oh, okay.
So I want to move on, and I could sit here and have you do that forever because everybody enjoys that. But, you kind of turned into a new chapter in your life. You've become, how do we want to say, more of a serious actor?
Well, not even a serious actor, an actor.
Truly an actor.
An actor, not a celebrity impersonator.
Right.
Yes, I was fortunate enough to land the role in a show. Can you talk about it?
Oh, yeah.
A few seconds. It's called A Mob Story here in Vegas. It's at the Plaza Hotel downtown. And it's the story of how the mob built Vegas and how Vegas took down the mob. And it's really interesting. And I played Johnny Roselli, who the mob sent out to run Vegas. And he ran Vegas for like 25 years. And it's really an interesting, eclectic. I'm the storyteller. I tell the stories, and the dancing is very dance. The choreography is amazing in this show. And we have a real-life ex-capo guy who ran, or he didn't run, but he made the Colombo family $1 billion back in the day through some gasoline scheme, taking the tax money from the government. It's a really interesting story. And since then, he turned his life around. He found God and really, got on the straight and narrow and lived to tell about it. The other 5 men that he was made with that night, on Halloween night, 1975, he says they're all dead, and they didn't die of natural causes.
Right.
So he never turned witness protection. He never ratted on anybody. And people ask me, how am I still alive? Because he had hits out on his life. He says, I've just outlived everybody. Because everybody that want to be dead is either dead themselves or doing life in prison. So it's really, and the music is contemporary and hip. The sound design, the light design, I can't say enough about it. It's well done by Jeff Kutash, who produced an award-winning guy who had Splash for over 20 years here in town.
So we are taping this show in October of 2018. Now, the medium for this is on the internet, so somebody could be watching this in 10 years from now.
Right.
So in October of 2018, the show is at
the Plaza Hotel, downtown Las Vegas, right at the top of Fremont Street.
Right.
It's up in the area before the questionable people that perform in the
street.
And some of them aren't even performing.
So, something I find really interesting about that room, too, is, this is the story of how Vegas was built, and that is, how do you say it, the showroom of when Vegas was built. And it's still, they've maintained that look and feel.
By not updating it. No.
Exactly. Exactly.
What's funny
is trying to be nice.
One of my lines is it said when Howard Hughes came to town, richest man in America at the time, and he said, in fact, I got a call to pick him up right here at the Union Plaza train station. And that was a train station. If you were coming into Vegas by train, it went right to where the Union Plaza, the Plaza Hotel is right now. So
now they made it into actually Greyhound bus station. Took over the train station part, and now the Greyhound bus station.
Exactly, but there's so much rich history in that hotel, and it's you walk in and it's kind of like, oh, I feel like I'm back in the '60s, and it's just kind of an older feel. They got Oscar's restaurant, of course. Oscar Goodman was the lawyer to the mob
Right.
back in the day, and
Great steakhouse. I mean, I really enjoy the food
you
there.
got to try their mushroom soup. It's very earthy and truffles. Oh, God, it's really good.
Yeah, my wife is going to be all over that. So now, real quick, we all have passion projects. You know, my passion project with my wife is the law of attraction, and we work in the law of attraction. You have a passion project with your partner who's actually behind camera here tonight. So let's talk a little bit about that passion project.
Sure. It's called Voice of the Vet, and we interview veterans, just all kinds from where we. Matter of fact, we even have a couple of World War II veterans that are, one's pushing 100, the other one's like 102, and they get to tell their stories, and we get them on videotape, and we're submitting them into the Library of Congress in Washington D.C. for the preservation of these stories.
Right.
And among other things we do, and we help them, get their benefits and different things. So, and this is more, Bob Maxwell and I, he's been my buddy for years, and we've done a lot of stuff together. Mm-hmm. And this is really his passion. He was in the service. I wasn't in the service. I missed the lottery, and they had the lottery.
So did I.
Yeah, I mean, I went up and I went up and did the physical and everything in Philly, but right before they called me, they canned the thing. So, but I have a passion for the military. I was fortunate enough a few years ago to get to entertain the troops in Afghanistan, and once you experience it, it changes you. It really changes. So this is to help veterans and get their stories out there, and yeah, it's just. I mean, we're still in our infancy stage. We're really starting to take off.
And where can people see these stories? Or
voiceofthevet.us.
Okay, voiceofthevet.us. We're going to put that link down below in the YouTube, the description right down there somewhere. We'll put it down there so people can see it. And so you have the YouTube links. Are they on YouTube?
It's got so much content on there right now. I don't know how we're going to be able to add more content. I mean, really, we're putting links and videos and stories and pictures and just all kinds of stuff.
Well, you want to go out and check that out. So I don't know if I should call you Elvis, if I should call you Marcel, Jay Leno, Johnny Carson. We'll just say it all tonight. Thank you so much. We truly appreciate you for being on Up Close and Personal today.
Thank you.
And to you, have a great rest of today and an even better day tomorrow.